So the big conversation in this market every year, Rosie, for like the last 5 or 6, especially in this cap era, has been how are the Maple Leafs going to get cap compliant? And certainly I see those articles on a daily basis. The name that's come to the forefront lately for some reason is Calle Jarnkrok. I just think you look at that contract, you look at his versatility. This is probably the last guy I would trade. Having said that, they probably have to do something. Now, talking to a couple people, it sounds likely maybe they go with a 20-man roster on opening night. Murray and Muzzin on LTIR means Holmberg, Robertson, Gambrell could start the season in the AHL. They might have to slide, a guy like Connor Timmins through waivers as well. So there's a way to get the job done. We've seen time and time before with the previous administration. Now we'll see with Brad Treliving. And obviously, they got Brandon Pridham, the capologist there. Like they're going to try to find a way to make this work, and likely will make something to make it work. Aside from making a trade, whether it's a Jarnkrok or somebody else. But Calle Jarnkrok is the last guy I would deal. How about you?
He's the last. He's not the last to me. I mean,
No?
you can't just ditch some nobody that's worthless to you and say now we're cap compliant. I mean, the reality is, I think you're going to be a couple million over the cap, and if you want to get under it, you got to shed that. And putting an $800,000 guy that may or may not even be on the roster isn't going to cut it. And you're not going to unload garbage to some team, right? They're not going to take it. And Jarnkrok makes about that 2 point something.
Yeah.
He's valuable to other teams. Like you said, he's versatile. He can play up and down the lineup and chip in. And if you need to get under that number because you've signed X, Y, and Z, then he's a guy that could probably get it done. He makes sense. Whether that's going to work out or not is yet to be seen. But if they're in a position where we have to get this under, I mean, rolling with less than a full roster and whatnot, I just don't think that's it. You're just asking for trouble. You're asking for problems, and you got to unload somebody. You've signed them all. You're not allowed to have that many. You got to move something, and he's a guy that, to be honest, makes sense.
I get it, and it almost makes me wonder if like losing Nylander for nothing next summer is like a blessing in disguise. It just gives them cap space. Like how long are they going to play this tap dance every season? Where I think I agree with you. It's so ridiculous to go in every season, have a 20-man roster. Other teams have 23-man rosters. The Leafs can't do it because they got no money. And I get what you're saying on Jarnkrok, but I think there's a bigger trade to be made that's not Jarnkrok. I just love his versatility. Love that cap hit. Whether it's a guy in the bottom 6, whether it's moving a Robertson or attaching him to somebody else. Like, I'm sure they're investigating different options. I would just try my best. That's all I'm saying. With what Jarnkrok brought to the table last year, his versatility, his contract, his AAV, like that's a guy I would try to keep because I like the fact that he can play up and down the lineup a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, say you put together some other thing that sends Robertson elsewhere and Jarnkrok doesn't really show up this year and has a bit of a stutter step of a season. Holy, the people would be pulling their hair out saying, we got rid of Nick Robertson, the brother of Jason Robertson, to keep Jarnkrok. Are you fucking kidding me? They'd be losing their absolute marbles. And you want to avoid that at all costs. But at the end of the day, I don't think Treliving is a dummy. I don't think he's scared to make moves. And I definitely think he's going to explore all options in order to get cap compliant here. And if that means Yarny, then that's what it means. But I really think that this guy is going to be, at the helm, working the phones, trying to figure out what the best scenario is for this team to get cap compliant. But, it is a little bit tiresome when they do this every single year. But at the same time, it's nice to get your hands on players and people and contracts that you can work with. And then, you've got until the season to get cap compliant. So it's better to have options than to be under the cap and be like, well, this is what we got, like it or not, we're going ahead and there's nothing we can do about it. It's not the end of the world. I don't mind that they're always, rushing to get under the cap at the last minute.